Another day, another ABH palette, Norvina Volume 2. Hi guys, you're watching Christina the Chemist. If you're new to my channel, consider subscribing because I do giveaways every month. Yep, this month I'm giving away this gorgeous ABH palette Volume 1. So as long as you're subscribed to my channel, you automatically get an entry each month. And I don't do PR or affiliate links here, so you can be sure that I'm giving you my honest opinion. Now, moving on to ABH Volume 2. The swatches look super pigmented, and the casing is the same size as the previous palette. Now, note that the casing is blue, so that is the color they want you to focus on this time versus last time, which was purple. And so if you take out the blue from the background, you'll see that what you're really working with is a rainbow palette. So don't let that optical illusion fool you. Speaking of optical illusions, I will rearrange the shades in this palette to give you a better idea of what we're working with. But before that, let's look at the casing and the sizes. So this palette retails for $60 and you have 25 pans. So just like its sister palette, you are in fact paying the same price per each shade. In this case, it's $2.40 per pan. So if you remove the blue from the background, you will notice that in actual fact, this is just another rainbow palette, but it's been released in the fall. And you get a full row of blue colors. Now, when she swatched them, they do look really pigmented and beautiful. And I wanted to see if I can dupe these swatches by using shades that I already have. I don't know if you already own the Dominique Cosmetics Rustic Glam palette, but you do get some nice blues in there, or maybe you have the Jeffree Star Blue Blood palette, in which case you do have a really nice range of pigmented blues to work with. So if you already own any of these blues and you're only getting this palette for the blues, which is really the focus of it, then I don't know if you should be getting this palette as well, because here are the swatches that has been advertised, and you can see that the blues are, while they're really beautiful and pigmented, I'm not convinced that it's better than the Jeffree Star palette. Now, looking at the red colors, I tried to see if I can get some neon reds and purples. I had the Hoola neon pinks to swatch, which came out beautifully, and I'm sure if you already have this, or for example the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette, you could probably get the same results here. Now, if you own any rainbow palette that's super pigmented, you probably don't need these. This also includes a black and a brown, so you can get that really in any palette these days. They all have well, except for the new Natasha Denona Metropolis, a lot of palettes already have these shades in them. So it really depends on what your focus is and whether you're a makeup artist who just really loves color. Then the next row is a bunch of greens. You get like some nice neon greens and some shimmery greens to work with. Now, for me, I personally don't own any solid green neon palettes, but the closest I could think of was the electric palette by Urban Decay, which has some nice neon yellows and greens. Also, the Tarte Be a Rainbow palette has some nice yellows and greens in there. And then one that I've come across was the Juvia's Place Tribe palette, which has some really beautiful greens in there. So if you already own any of those, you probably don't need this palette to pay another $60 for. But I'm really happy with the greens in the Juvia's Place Tribe palette. And also my favorite is probably the duochrome in that Urban Decay electric palette. And that's not to say that the one Anastasia is producing here is no good. It's just that really it's a repetition of what we already have. Now, she also has some shimmers and some silvers in there, but you know what, I still think that you can get these elsewhere, or you know, you have to really ask whether these are the colors that you want, or you know, if you're trying to create a rainbow look. Again, I feel like a lot of companies have tried to do rainbow looks this year, so I'm not really sure that it was a good time for this release. She also has some shimmers in there, which I saw in other palettes already existed. Now, as far as purples, I thought that the first release of her Norvina Volume 1 had a beautiful set of purples, as well as the Alicia Edwards palette, and my favorite was probably the Norvina original palette that had a very beautiful purple in there. So again, it's really a question of what you want and what kind of look you want to achieve, as opposed to just buying another eyeshadow palette that may already, you know, be in your collection. So and also the fact that this is, you know, we're approaching winter and holiday season, so I don't know if this was a good time for the release, but you know, makeup companies do try to make the most out of it by rearranging colors. So like I've said in my previous videos, it's really hit a point that right now with the color combinations, they've done purple palettes, blue palettes, and there's only so many combinations of color, so many colors that exist out there, and so many combinations that they can come out with. So in actual fact, you know, with the stocks going down, the makeup companies are just releasing and repackaging and rearranging those shades. In this case, you're just getting another rainbow palette, but I do have to admit that the quality is fantastic, and as a person who really likes ABH products, I will say that her Volume 1 palette was probably one of my favorites this fall, but personally I will not be picking up the Volume 2 palette, because I think that I have a lot of rainbow palettes already. It's not a fall palette for sure, it's not a winter palette. And so that's my final thought on this palette. If you are looking for a rainbow look or something unique with a lot of pigment, then I think you may want to consider it. But as always, I recommend that you see it in person first before, you know, committing to it online. So if you want to create a rainbow look like Norvina did over here, it might be a palette for you, but like I said, there are so many already out there in the market, so make sure that you see it in person before you buy it. So that's all I have. Thanks so much again for watching. As always, if you want to win the Volume 1 palette, please make sure that you are not only subscribed, but you also leave a way for me to contact you. I do monthly giveaways, and I also don't do any PR on this channel, so I look forward to speaking with you guys again next time, and hope you have a great day.